Welcome to Blank Tape. I'm Kurt.
And I'm Anson, and this is Volume 2, Track 16, A Wooden Leg Named Smith.
Recorded on Friday, March 1st, 2019. Put on your headphones and let's jam.
What's up, programs?
Nothing much. Programs? Oh, I see. You're doing a reference, aren't you?
Yes.
Ah,
we'll have to save the rest of that for the after show.
Yes,
but
because if you didn't know, we have a Patreon, and yeah, I have exciting news to share about that. But you know, we'll follow our script, we'll follow our format. So, what are you drinking, Mr. Anson?
Well, I'll tell you what I am drinking, and then I'll tell you what I would like to be drinking. What I'm drinking right now is a LaCroix Pina Fraise, aka pineapple strawberry. I just got back from the gym right before this, and
I just got back from the gym. I'm so swole.
I'm trying to drink something that's nice and hydrating. What I wish I was drinking was, we have some St. Arnold's Springbok, which is very good. I've been enjoying that. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm still working on that 12-pack of Shiner S'more. I haven't been drinking as much alcohol the last while, so it's been staying there. But of course, I got my Physics Way tap for Christmas, and so now I'm drinking it, and it tastes like I'm at the pub with my best bud Anson. So it's
nice.
Everything's all right with the world.
Oh, groovy.
Indeed.
What are you eating? What were you eating? /R.
Well, I've got some shrimp Alfredo and some bread. I ate all the shrimpies. I just have the Alfredo noodles left. So I don't know if it would be rude to our listeners to be slurping noodles while we talk, but, you know, easy enough to reheat. I ate the most important part, which was the shrimp. So.
Yeah. It's generally bad form to eat and drink on a podcast, but we'll make sure we cover it.
Yes, our descendants don't need to know what we sound like when we were eating, unless they're weirdly specific and, I want to know how my ancestors sounded when they ate.
Here I have some Trader Joe's chicken tikka marsala, which is very good. Trader Joe's has some really good frozen stuff.
Yeah, they do. I agree.
So I heated up some leftover veggies that we had. And then I ate that first, and then I'm having a little chicken and rice here, which is good. So,
okay.
We have some live updates from the field. My wife is texting me.
Oh.
Kurt and I are having a guys' night while my wife is off at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, because the guest tonight is the one and only Cardi B, who we have mentioned.
That's what she does, right?
Yeah, okay. More or less. We've mentioned her a couple times on the podcast, and so I thought it was funny. Elvia is telling me that the friend she's going with lost her printout of her ticket, and they had to ask a bunch of people if they could help her reprint it, and she thought they weren't going to be able to go in, but it looks like they got it all sorted out.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty intense.
That kind of reminds me over Christmas. I don't know if I have talked about this on the podcast, but of course, 30 Foot Fall was playing their Christmas show at Fitzgerald's, which, if you don't know the story, Fitzgerald's property has been bought, and so it's going to be, it's the last couple of shows that they were doing before the business was going to close down, and so that was going to be the last Fitzgerald's Christmas show, and I naively thought, I could just stroll up and buy my ticket at the door, but I didn't put two and two together like Casey told me, and was like, you should probably check and see if they have tickets. And sure enough, it turned out they had tickets. And Dad insisted that he drop me off at the venue on Christmas night after, we had finished properly celebrating the holiday with my family. And it wasn't like 5 minutes later that I got up and they were like, hey, if you don't have a ticket, you can't get in. So I was like upset. I called Dad, was like, hey, you have to come pick me up because I don't have a ticket to get in. And it wasn't until I got home that I had some friends from the punk show Facebook me, and they were like, oh my gosh, I have an extra ticket, you could still get in. But by that point, I was already in pajamas, and we had to drive back to Dallas the next day. So I was like, no, I think this is fate speaking, and I'm not meant to go to the show. But from what I hear, 30 Foot Fall is gathering concert footage, and they're supposed to be releasing something to the internet, I think. So I'm excited to see that and hear how the show went. Of course, they are super energetic show to go to. I tried to convince you to go with me, but like I said, I think things worked out okay in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you do live quite a ways from downtown, so it's not like you can just hop back on the road and go 10 minutes down the road and get there again. So it's,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, definitely I live far away from downtown Houston because I'm in Dallas, but my parents certainly, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, they live on the outskirts of, in suburbia, so.
Right on.
But let's see, what do we have next? Homework. Did we do our homework?
Well, I did my half of my Patreon homework.
Yes, that's right.
But I need to get more into the swing of watching movies.
Okay.
What I need to do is just rent them or something and watch like 15 minutes at a time. Like a little bit during breakfast, a little bit during lunch, so that I can get through them. But because usually I'll have to wait until like I have some downtime on a weekend and Elvia just wants to take a nap and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I can like watch a movie.
You can do that. You can like watch a movie in 15-minute increments and walk away and then come back to it and be back in it. Yeah,
I mean, I prefer not to. If I'm like really having a cinematic experience, I prefer to just like, okay, like this is my time, like go to the bathroom, get your soda or get your water, whatever you're gonna do, and like sit down and like be ready to go. But
sure,
if I need to, if it's a busy time, or whatever, then I guess I'll have to break it up. But yeah, so anyway, we'll save the. If you're curious to know what my Patreon homework was, you'll have to find us on Patreon and subscribe and get the after show because we're not going to talk about it here, so you'll never know.
Exactly. Yes, that's one of our rewards. At the $5 level and above, you get to assign us homework. You become a Walkman warrior, and you get to assign us a piece of homework, whether it's to watch a movie or to listen to an album. And corresponding with that, you get to ask a question. And so this Patreon bonus episode we have exclusive to Patreon. They kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, you'll just have to donate and find out what we're going to talk about later. But yeah, let's see. As far as my other homework, as far as coding, I know you keep advising me to, and I keep being a stubborn mule about it, but I should devote more time and energy to something creative like that, because now that I'm 31, I find my energy reserves, being depleted much quicker than I'm used to them being depleted. So if I end up binging like on Fallout 76 or some other video game, I'm just like, oh man, I'm so tired, and like, while I had fun at the same time, it's like, man, I could have been doing something else, and yeah, I should probably just, and I know Casey offered it as a birthday present. She's like, oh, why don't we sign you up for a class or something, and then you can learn it that way. And that's probably the way I'd have to do it, is I would just have to like physically sit down in a classroom and like learn from someone being engaging with me rather than leaving it to my own devices. This is kind of why I had a love-hate relationship with the structure of how my MBA program was set up, because I started going to classes on campus, which was great, but then halfway through it switched to online only, and even though I was in the town where my graduate college courses were, they were just like, do the work online. I was like, well, that doesn't work for someone like me. I'm a procrastinator. This is not ideal for me. And so I had to work really hard to stay focused in my classes and stay on top of my work. And the times that we could meet to actually do group work were especially beneficial to me. So,
man, I never knew that it was like half online. I don't remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like I said, it started out where I was physically, going on to campus to take these graduate classes, but then partway through it, they were like, oh, we've transitioned to an online format, so all the classes are online. You have to do all the work and submit all the work online. So,
did you like watch lectures, and how did that work?
You had to buy the textbook, and you had to read the stuff, and there was assignments that went along with everything. So it was assumed that as long as you were reading the books, maybe there were videos and doing the homework and stuff like that, then you would succeed in the class. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Groovy.
Indeed. And so you did
Sorry.
So you did some of your homework as far as now with Trading Places and Breakfast Club. Did you actually get to those or not?
No, I did not. I'll cross off the secret one from the Patreon because that one's done.
Right.
Or one of the two. But the Trading Practice and Breakfast Club, I'll have to do those. But I have the other homework assignment to get to first before I get to those. So I just need to get on it better. So.
Well, I mean, no need to pull you away from your wife or your job. I suppose you don't have a situation at work, or you could just be coding, and then you just have like your phone propped up with a movie going while you're like in a good coding session, unless you like to put on Darude Sandstorm or something like that and jam the music while you're coding.
I like to put on music for sure, and it's funny. Oh, I can't talk about that. I was going to talk about the soundtrack of the movie that I watched, but I can't talk about that. So I like to put on music. I do love film scores. I sometimes listen to like classical stuff. I have a Spotify playlist where if I'm in the mood to hear something, I'll just kind of like put it at the end of the playlist. And so like as I go, I just kind of like go through things that I'm interested in hearing. So I like to listen to music sometimes, but it depends on what I'm working on. Like if I'm trying to do a lot of investigation and there's stuff that I'm not sure about,
right,
then it's hard to like listen to music because I have to like focus on what I'm doing. But once I kind of like have a problem in mind, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to do here. I just have to like execute, then I can like put on some music
and you're a professional, so you don't want to upset the boss man and just be like, Anson, why are you sitting at your desk watching Breakfast Club? Is this what we pay you for?
Yeah, it's my office is kind of open layout, so anybody could walk by, and if my team leader leaves his office, he could see what I'm doing pretty much right away. So that's not going to work.
He's like, unless you're watching that movie to get inspiration for coding, I don't know why that's on right now.
Oh man, yeah.
Anyway, well, let's see. Now I think is the part where we do our Patreon shout outs.
Yeah.
So this is the $1 level. If you just donate $1 every month, an investment of $12 a year, this is the part of the show where you just give you a shout out and we thank you for your support. So the very first shout outs ever go to my parents, my mom and dad, Wayne and Pam. So thank you for being our Patreon supporters, our first Patreon supporters.
Woohoo!
And, for believing in Anson and I, and, we just love you so much, and we thank you, so.
Yeah, I got to hang out with Kurt in person a couple weeks ago for his birthday, and it was great to see my buddy and the Crinwell family, so
yes.
Always a pleasure.
Indeed. Yeah, that was a good brunch.
Yeah, for sure.
Whiskey cake. If you've never been, go for the whiskey and stay for the cake, so.
That works. We'll tell them about that and they can run with it.
Okay. Let's see. Corrections. I don't think we had any from last episode.
Yeah, none that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So, good job, us.
I think we were just talking off the cuff. We're just kind of talking off the wall, so
fair enough.
Corrections and unless we said something that was wrong, but I can't remember. Yeah, we're good.
All right, so let's see. We have a news tidbit of the week. I just, as stuff kept coming up, I kept adding it to the document. So, Anson, do you have any news tidbits of the week that you would like to share?
I have a couple. I'll steal one from your list and I'll give another one.
Oh, sure.
I always like to talk about the Apple news, and there is an Apple media event. Usually when Apple does these like press releases, not press releases, but like press conferences, or like they're going to demo some new stuff, people kind of hear about it through the grapevine a few weeks in advance, and then maybe like 1 or 2 weeks in advance, there's like an official announcement that goes out. And it's like, okay, inviting the press to come to this event or whatever. And so we don't have an official announcement, I don't think. But on March 25th, which is 4 weeks away as we speak.
Right.
There's supposed to be an event where there's always a bunch of rumors. And, I don't like to really listen to rumors because I think it's just all like speculation. And maybe it's fun for some people, but I'm just like, I'll just wait till see what actually is going to happen. So the rumors are they're going to talk about like services and not really products. So like maybe like a new Apple. They have Apple Music, which is like a competitor to Spotify, and so they're talking about maybe they're going to have like an Apple Video, which is like a video streaming thing, and they have this. They have a couple of originals that they've commissioned. Like there's some like carpool karaoke thing that you can like get if you're subscribed to Apple Music. You can like subscribe to the.
They talked to James Corden.
Yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, something like that, and then So I think they're going to try to get into that. There's maybe some Apple News thing they're going to do, maybe some kind of like enhanced iCloud storage, something. I don't know. So we'll see. Not really expecting any new like laptops or anything yet.
Okay.
So just something to keep an eye on. Maybe there'll be another Apple event by the next time we get to talk.
I saw something in the elevator at work that kind of tags on to Apple a little bit, and apparently it was, didn't the Google Android store allow for Apple Music to be downloadable on Android devices, even though the app might currently be disabled, but it at least is there? So is that something that you were aware of?
Oh, maybe. That sounds vaguely familiar. I feel like they have said at some point that
there's going to be cross-pollination between Google and Apple.
Like they want as many subscribers as possible, and so if you're a subscriber on Android, then you want to get Apple Music, then they should allow you to do that. Instead of not taking your money just because you don't have an iPhone.
Right.
So I think that sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure. It wasn't released yet. You couldn't actually use it yet. Is what it's saying.
Right. I think because elevator television mini screens blurbs are like very short and brief to the point, and I think I saw something that like it was in the store, but it was like disabled or it was grayed out. It wasn't something that you could actually get yet, but it was at least there. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. It probably could be related. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
So the other little news topic that I thought was interesting was the you have it here about the Amazon HQ2 in New York that was like canceled.
I
just thought it was interesting. Like Amazon, they made this big show out of like, oh, what campus or where we're going to put our new campus. Where we're going to do it, and it had this big competition and all this kind of stuff. And
right.
And like New York won, and then it was like they were getting too many deals from the city, and people were unhappy about it or something. I don't know. It just seemed like it was a big to do, and they could have just kind of done it on their own and just been like, okay, here, we're going to do it here, instead of like making it into this big media circus thing. I don't know.
I had a coworker comment on it to me, and he was saying, well, I have friends that actually work at Amazon, and they were saying that it was always going to be Washington, D.C., but because they had to play it up to the media and at least make it look fair or something, they decided, oh, New York, but then New York quickly like got into an uproar. And then they were like, okay, we'll just go to Washington, D.C.
Huh.
So that's
why
what
go
I
through
heard.
all this charade? Why go through all the trouble of, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, New York is a major, population center in the United States, and it would definitely mirror with Seattle. But I guess they decided to go a little further down. So. And maybe we'll have to have our friend and local New York City correspondent Daniel Moore on later at some point to comment.
Previous guest episode from the East Coast travel.
Yeah, that's right. And then that's all the news tidbits you had?
Yeah, that's all I got for now.
Okay. So I'll try and breeze through mine quickly because there's a lot of stuff that happened, folks, between our last episode and now. So we have Jessica Jones and Punisher finally got canceled by Netflix, sealing the deal as far as, okay, all of the Marvel shows are now done on Netflix, so Disney is primed to launch their own streaming service, and there's no conflict of interest there, I suppose. So I don't know if this means eventually the Defenders will find their way onto the big screen, or if it just means they're going to wait till something lapses and then, okay, now we're going to bring them onto our Disney Plus streaming service. So that finally happened. Let's see. Cardinal McCarrick, who we talked briefly about in the didgeridoo episode when I mentioned all the stuff about the Catholic Church sex abuse stuff, was earlier at the end of the month, defrocked officially by Pope Francis. So that means that you are part of the clergy and you are officially removed from clerical duties, and you just become part of the laity or the normal body of the church. So you don't have any position of authority. So, and with this event of Cardinal McCarrick being defrocked, it's the most senior church official in modern times to be laicized, and he's believed to be the first cardinal ever laicized for sexual misconduct. And I know that the former cardinal is somewhere in Kentucky, I think, at a monastery, and he's been charged by Pope Francis to live a contemplative life of prayer, fasting, and forgiveness. So that's kind of what he's got going on. So while that's kind of a downer, something cool that happened in the church was that the Vatican officially approved the second miracle for Blessed John Henry Newman. So he is one step closer to becoming a canonized saint, which is pretty cool. He used to be an Anglican priest, and then about in his 40s, he had a conversion experience and became a Catholic. And so he's a major English Catholic figure in modern times, and he did a lot of writing, so kind of like in the same vein as like Thomas Aquinas and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, if he becomes a canonized saint of the church, then he most likely would also become what's called a doctor of the church, meaning not like Doctor Who, but that's a common Catholic meme joke. But no, that he would just become someone who's like, he knows his stuff and he speaks truths and that kind of thing. If you're curious what the miracle was, there was a pregnant woman somewhere in the United States who was having complications, and she invoked Blessed John Newman to pray for her and to help her. And then the doctors came back to check on her, and she was like completely fine. And so that happened like way earlier. The Vatican reviewed it, and they were like, "Yep, second miracle confirmed." So.
Oh wow.
So that's something good, upbeat, and then something most recently that's been happening is for the last couple weeks now, I guess there's flared tensions and fighting going on in Kashmir, back in India and Pakistan, and so everyone's kind of tense right now. You know, we don't want to start a nuclear war. We don't want World War III to start. And, of course, Pakistan, I heard the latest was the prime minister is like, okay, we shot down an Indian fighter pilot, and we're going to go ahead and release him as a show of good faith. So even though both India and Pakistan are kind of have the tension ratcheted up, we're hoping that everything could come to a resolution, and that we have peace, and that there's no escalation to the nuclear level.
Oh man, yeah, I read a little bit about that in a like an email newsletter thing that I get. So yeah, I hope we have a peaceful resolution soon and stuff.
And that concludes our news tidbits of the week. Ba-doop-boo.
Boom.
All right, so let's see. We've got several mini topics. So I think since you added them, I'll let you take the reins on this part.
Oh gosh, yeah. Just like I've been looking forward to chatting with you all week. I've had a pretty crazy week, so I've just been looking forward to catching up. And I think I leaned back too far in my chair right there.
I'm hit.
Good thing I didn't get chicken marsala everywhere, so I think that's a win.
Yes.
So
you just call the dogs in to clean it up, right?
Oh yeah, they would be here in a heartbeat. So yeah, my wife had her UIL this week, and that's
congrats.
Thanks. She so UIL. We'll mention this for the future listeners of the world. Is it stands for University Interscholastic League or something like that, and it's just a kind of a series of competitions that you can do while you're in school, and it's really big in the music world, at least in Texas, because every year you have your UIL contest, and so it's not a competition. They call it a competition sometimes, a contest or competition, but it's not like you're competing against other people. You're competing like with yourself to get the best grade you can. And
true.
So there's a whole thing. I'm pretty sure it's the same for choir and band and orchestra too, but there's like a prescribed music list, and your director will pick some pieces off this list, and every piece has a grade of like how hard it is. And so if you're a certain size of an ensemble or a certain group of an ensemble, then you have to play certain difficulties of music, and then you go, and there's 3 judges, and you do your concert, you play 3 pieces, they'll give you a rating. I think it's 1 through 5, and so each judge gives you a rating. And then you do a sight reading. 1 being the best, and I imagine 5 being like, you definitely need some improvement. Yeah. And you do the concert portion, and you do a sight reading portion, meaning the judges give you a piece of music that you've never seen before. and you have to look at it without playing for a few minutes while your director kind of walks you through it, and then you have to perform it for the first time. So it's a very busy, intense week for directors around the state and stuff. The schedule varies, but whenever your UIL is, it's your busiest week of the year because it's like, your scores and stuff live on forever in the database of Texas music history or whatever. So, it's a big professional thing too. And so my wife took some groups with her assistant, and they all did very well. And so we were very proud of her. And now she is relaxing. She took today off.
Nice.
Did some resting, and now she's at the Cardi B concert. So that's
now she's gonna go see Cardi B. Trail.
Yeah. We should put a link to that Pepsi commercial that she's in.
Okay. We'll make a note to ourselves to do that.
Beep boop. Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, and what you described as the UIL process, I would agree, is the exact same for choir, though I can't remember if maybe the sight reading happened first before the concert. I don't know. It would, for us, it seems so long ago, but I do remember certain times. Like, I remember when Miss Carlisle directed, like, probably the varsity girls, R.I.P. Miss Carlisle. But I remember on one of the pieces, she asked me to play, like, the musical Spoon. So I remember I had to, like, so Miss Carlisle's in, concert position facing all the girls. And then I was, like, in a chair off to, stage left. And I just had to, like, wait for her cue. And I just played the spoons on a piece, I remember, for a UIL competition.
That's cool. That sounds kind of familiar, but I don't think I remember that. That's kind of cool.
Yes. So any of our listeners out there, hopefully that were in the appropriate girls choir. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was like varsity girls or if it was maybe more like concert women or like one of the other smaller chamber groups. But yeah, I remember playing spoons on a UIL piece, and I'm pretty sure they did really well. Miss Carlisle was really great with our choirs when we were in high school. And obviously she's the reason why I ended up choosing Angelo State is because she was friends with the choir director at Angelo State, Dr. Pamela Lee. So,
connections.
Yeah, and Miss Carlisle actually wrote a number of sight reading books that we used in choir. So, like, every day in UIL season, it was, okay, here's the sight reading books. Turn to page 5 and look at the third system down and start figuring it out. And that's how we drilled and practiced, and obviously worked on our pieces of music too. And the choirs would usually get ones and stuff like that. So probably the same for the orchestra as well with us.
Yeah, I think so. It's been forever. I don't remember, but I guess I could look it up if I really wanted to.
We could probably call up Mr. Jones and ask him, "Hey, how did the orchestra do in 2004?"
Yeah.
That
was fun.
Good times.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to the rodeo, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo?
I've been 2 or 3 times, maybe just 2, and only in recent years because my company got a booth. They got a sponsored booth a couple of times. And so we got to go and they would have some food out for us. And so we would eat, fajitas or whatever, and then watch a little bit of the concert. And so the rodeo is an all-week thing. I didn't really know this until we went for the first time, but it's an all-week thing, and they have different artists perform every night. And so if you go early, maybe my wife said she was there maybe half an hour ago, and they're doing rodeo events still. And so they'll do bull riding or mutton busting and stuff. Which is the classic event where kids tried to catch a sheep.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. So just little fun things, and then the concert will go on or whatever. And so last year was Alicia Keys, and we got there a little bit late because I think it was right around this time, and it was UIL or something. We had something where we had to we couldn't get there until late, and so we missed half the concert, but it was still fun to see her. And then I'm trying to remember who it was the year before that. I really can't remember. Yeah, it's not going to come to me, but anyway.
You'll think about it later. We'll add it to the corrections on the next show.
Yeah. So then this year they didn't. I guess they didn't get a booth or something. They say it's pretty hard to get sometimes because there's a lot of high demand for that kind of stuff or something. I don't know. So
money.
Yeah. So we didn't go this year, but my wife is going. I have been to the Dallas rodeo once, I think.
Oh. See, I've never been to the Dallas rodeo. I've been to the Mesquite rodeo a year or so ago. We went with Casey. I went with Casey, obviously, and we met up with Rachel and Kevin Stone. Yeah, we went to the Mesquite rodeo, and that was fun. And, of course, numerous times in college, I went to the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo, which the San Angelo rodeo is a pretty big deal for that town. So a lot of the similar events with, like mutton busting and stuff like that. And there's entertainment there at the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo, but nowhere near as far as entertainment-wise you're not going to get Cardi B, or you're not going to get Larry the Cable Guy. Well, Larry the Cable Guy might do it, but the one time I remember going to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in high school I was with Adrian and Jackie Taylor and their parents, and we all went to the rodeo together, and we saw like Larry the Cable Guy do a stand-up set in the middle of the arena. So, but yeah, that was a fun time.
You said Mesquite? Is that like Mesquite, Texas?
Yes. So that's in the southeastern part of the Dallas area.
Okay. Yeah, I see it on the map here. Cool.
Yep. All the little small towns blending together in this area. Yeah.
After the concert last year or the year before, we walked around and played some of the games and rode the rides and stuff. So it's fun, but
nice.
Not as fun when it's the middle of your UIL weekend. You're very tired and busy. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
Mm. Yeah.
What is CF Open?
CF is CrossFit Open.
And you went to the CrossFit Olympics.
No, I did not go.
Oh.
We might have talked about this earlier in the CrossFit episode or not. I can't really remember, but the CrossFit Open is a international competition where in previous years, what it was is you'd go, it would all be a process to see who can get into the CrossFit Games, like the one CrossFit Olympics, like you said.
Oh, okay.
And so during the open season, it starts off with 5 workouts, and it's one every week for 5 weeks. And then you record your scores on the workouts, how well you do. And then if your scores are good enough, then you go to regionals, and then, state, and then nationals, and then to the games internationally.
Okay.
And so when CrossFit was a smaller thing, maybe, years ago, however many years it was not easy, but easier to go to the games. But as CrossFit has kind of become more and more popular and more people are getting involved, it's the chances of anybody going to the games is so ridiculously small, unless you're a professional full-time athlete. There are coaches at our gym who are incredibly fit and can do amazing workouts and times and stuff, but there's no way they would ever get to the games because they're not 24/7 professional athletes, so
right.
This year they changed it up a little bit, and they're well, they restructured some things, and so it's not as much about getting to the games. It's more about you just participating in the open. So the cool thing about it is they number the workouts with the year and the number of the week. So today we had 19.2. Last week was 19.1. And so it's during that time, everybody in the world is doing the same workout for the weekend, and you have from Thursday until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of cool, to do a workout and to know that everyone else around the world is doing the same thing and feeling the same pain that you are.
Everyone's getting swole, man.
So it's fun. I put together a little leaderboard for our gym and stuff. So I guess if you're really curious, I can put that in there, but I'll be towards the bottom because I'm not that pro.
Okay.
I just do it. I do it for fun, not for to compete with anybody.
I see.
So yeah, so that's what I was doing for this. And then I came home and got some chicken marsala, as you have heard many times so far.
All right, and then let's see. We're just going to burn through all of our mini topics. Let's see. Finance Swift tool. Oh, is this because of our behind the scene notes as far as upkeep with the podcast? This is something that you're integrating into our documents, correct?
Close, yeah. I'm thinking about so to do a little inside baseball and talk about the show for a little bit. We've you and I have been like splitting the cost of doing this, and so when I get charged for the like the hosting on Fireside, you pay me back for half of that. Or when we commission art from our friend Rodger,
right,
I pay for it and you pay me back half. So it's a shared enterprise. But now that we have some actual Patreon supporters, we're going to be receiving money too. And so,
yay!
I wanted to have a little system, just a little better than like a spreadsheet that is kind of a little more automated and can do all the math and stuff for us, and easy for you to edit too as things come in. And so I started putting together a little thing in Swift just to like do some addition and stuff from a text file. And I was thinking, if you're interested, I can make it an open source project and I can like show it to you so you can like check out and see what a sample program looks like in Swift. It's
okay.
Just for something fun to look at that's kind of small and does something very simple.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like if you wanted to walk me through how it actually works or something. Yeah, that'd be fun.
So it's still a work in progress, but I'll put that up eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, just for fun.
Let's see. Do you want to talk Mary Poppins or do you want to talk Quip next?
Well, let's save Quip for the end because it's short and fun, I guess.
Okay. Mary Poppins came
go
up.
ahead.
Oh, Mary Poppins came up because I guess Anson, well, like as Anson mentioned, he's a little slower with his movie watching, and I can tell based on the review entry dates, the log or the diary dates of when he watches movies, he might sometimes delay weeks at a time before he's like, oh yeah, I watched a movie on this day. And so when I was looking at my Letterboxd app this morning or the other day, I saw that on my birthday, you had watched Mary Poppins. It must have been like after we had brunch and stuff. And you left a 3-star review, and you had some very strong opinions, sir. But I was like, okay, Anson made some valid points. He is allowed to not have the same goggly, starry-eyed opinion of the movie that I do. So
it was 3.5 stars. So
right. Isn't that what I said?
I think it said 3, but well, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay, you did give it that extra half. So.
Yeah, it's things I want to. I'll watch a movie and then I'll like have it in my head, kind of what I want to say in my review, and so of all the things to take a little too seriously, I take my Letterboxd probably too seriously. But I just I want to say something interesting, and so I kind of take a minute to think about what I'm going to say and all. But
right, because based on some of the other reviews that I read on that website, some people are going for pure snark. So
yeah, I try to do that sometimes to be funny, but I don't try to be mean just for the sake of being mean.
Right.
So I mean, I don't have to like read the whole thing, but the gist of it is, I think a lot of the magic, I hate to say it, but like the magic has worn off. Watching this movie from 1964 here in 2019. What is that? Let me do some quick calculator math. 2019 minus 1964 is 55 years, which is a few years short of my parents' age, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, I it's one of those things. A lot of the movies from my childhood, when I put them on, I'm sure you're like this too, but it's funny because you can start to quote like half the lines without even thinking about it, just because you watched them so many times when you were a kid. But you put them on, and like all of a sudden, all the lines come back to you, and all the jokes and stuff. And so that's how I had with Mary Poppins for sure. I remembered a lot of the little moments here and there, and I definitely absolutely love the soundtrack very much.
Yes,
but I was kind of disappointed by a few things, and one of them was the plot. It's let me see if it says how long it is. 139 minutes. So that's what, like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And the plot, like there's these, what I call them, there's like these dream sequences almost, where they go into the painting and they're hopping around and doing their thing, or they go up to the chimneys and they do their little song and dance number, and
episodic.
Like there's nothing happening during those parts. It's just like the kids are going on one adventure after another, and that's fine and it's all fun, but I don't know. Maybe I'm an old grouch and I'm not as wowed by like dance and song and dance numbers. I don't know. So I was like, I guess I shouldn't expect the plot of a kids movie to be like super deep or anything.
Right. It's not like kids entertainment nowadays where everything has to have a message. It's like sometimes a kids movie can just be episodic because I think, a child can think that way in very much an episodic manner. But I mean, the overall arcing story is, about how Mary Poppins has come into the lives of the Banks children. Mm-hmm. And I think even as the movie that came out a few years ago, Saving Mr. Banks makes, Emma Thompson playing P.L. Travers, her whole point was it's not necessarily about the Mary Poppins to the children's relationship that's most important. It's at the end of it's Mr. Banks's relationship to the children that matters the most, because it was a reflection of her own childhood and stuff like that. And, maybe that movie takes liberties and stuff like that, but I'll agree that the Sherman Brothers music is magical in it. And, like I said, it was, it was something that I watched even when I had hearing difficulties as a little kid, and probably one of the movies that helped me to figure out how to operate a VCR when I was, a toddler. So it'll always have a special place in my heart. But I know that maybe some of the language and some of the stuff in it's outdated, and I think that's an idea for us maybe of a future topic as far as like, if movies use these antiquated, maybe racially charged words, does that mean that we have to dump the whole movie? Or do we, with modern lens, or do we, or are the movies bad by their own standards in their own time periods for using that choice? It's an interesting topic to discuss, and I certainly don't want to take away from anything else we have to discuss. But I know that was something that I thought about when I was seeing this review that you had left.
Yeah. We can go over my other points really quick. I just thought the special effects were, every episode has like a little focus on a special effect, so when it's I Love to Laugh, it's focusing on how they make them look like they're flying,
Right.
And watching it now, all I can think of is how, now he's standing in front of a green screen, or now he's like on a seesaw and someone's pushing the other side up and down,
Right.
So it's just a little bit harder to like let go and enjoy it for me, but that's just
I think it would have been a blue screen. I don't think green screens were prevalent. I think blue screen may have been the technology, but I could be wrong.
Oh, what's the difference? Do you know?
I think, now this is digging deep into my days of the video morning announcements my senior year of high school, but I think it has to do with the chroma keying. And I don't know if the technology was necessarily available in the 60s to process bright green, but blue you could. And I think they still use blue for movies, but typically when you see a lot of CGI movies now, you'll see them in sound stages with like bright fluorescent green all around. And
yeah, I've seen that before.
Certainly in high school, when we did the morning announcements, we had like a big old piece of plywood that was painted bright green, so whenever we needed to computer animate like a news studio background when we did the morning announcements, that's how we were able to do it.
That's interesting. I never had any idea there was such a thing as blue screen. That's interesting. Huh.
Yep.
Cool.
And then what's this quit business?
Oh, well, hang on. We're not done with Mary Poppins.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Next time you're in town, if you're ever in town, I got to take you to pub trivia. I got to put that brain to work. All your knowledge of stuff.
Hopefully I won't be pounding too many beers, because then you'll have an impaired brain on your team.
We'll start out really strong, and then we're going to get really bad towards the end of the night. I also thought it was funny how much emphasis in Mary Poppins was on Dick Van Dyke. It was right during the time of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and so he was a huge, like TV comedy star. Mm-hmm. And so he's great, I love him, sure, but I didn't remember like how much of it was a focus on him, and what it reminded me of was like in Aladdin, how much of the focus is on Robin Williams, the comedian, kind of like driving the comedy and everything in that movie.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. What's
also, I forgot to mention this in my review, but it's not really related. There's, I think it's Night at the Museum 2. Dick Van Dyke has a role in it, so it's kind of funny.
Dick Van Dyke, I think, it may have been the first one. But yeah, he plays one of the old security guards of the museum, so that when Ben Stiller comes in, he's having to fight, or he has to go against Dick Van Dyke and Mickey Rooney and Danny Glover, because they're the old farts who, they're trying to take advantage of the artifact in the museum so they can be youthful or whatever. But it's gonna, so that's where the conflict comes in. I think that movie.
Wait. Okay, Danny Glover, not Donald Glover. Not.
Right. No, Murtaugh. I'm getting too old for this guy from Lethal Weapon. That guy. Yeah.
I'm looking him up as we sit here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I know it's very confusing, and this is probably why the Screen Actors Guild is like, guys, we can't have people with too many of the similar names. If you're just going to be an actor, make up some name or go with a maiden name or just something so we don't get everyone all confused.
Now, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, he was in The Office as the security guard? Or am I misremembering?
No, that is a different gentleman, and I believe that gentleman did pass away recently. So, R.I.P. to the security guard on the American version of The Office.
Oh, man, I'm sorry I mixed up those people.
But, yeah, right. No, I always think of Danny Glover as, Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon, like, oh, I'm getting too old for this, and...
I never saw Lethal Weapon.
Angels in the Outfield?
Never saw that one either.
You're killing me, Smalls. That's a different baseball movie reference.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, what's this quip? Let's get the quips
I'm still not done. I wanted to go into the
my goodness.
Really quick. Yeah. So what I was talking about, we brought up the racial term stuff from
right, yes.
So it's the part when they're up on the roofs and they're doing the Step in Time dance and everything.
Right.
And the guys are all covered in soot and they're dancing around. And Admiral Boom, the ship captain guy, who I think
crazy neighbor.
I think he has PTSD or something because he's like built his house into a ship and stuff, which is kind of surreal for it's like magical surrealism, whatever you would call it. I don't know, but it's kind of funny that like that's in the movie, But
well, you go to Fredericksburg and the Nimitz Museum looks like a ship too.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, so Admiral Boom looks through his telescope and sees all these people dancing around, and he says, "Oh, we're being attacked by Hottentots." And a Hottentot is an old, like, British racial slur that refers to like black people from South Africa, and it's.
I looked it up too, and I think it was like a specific tribe. It had to, and I think it comes from like a Dutch. German translation because it has to do with the clicks of the click language, because like Hottentotten in German means like stutter, and so it has to do with like the actual language.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I found on Google earlier today when I looked.
The implication, or it implies that they're like cannibals and like savages and stuff, and so I guess I was surprised when I heard him say that, because it's kind of like a racist thing, and it's, I guess you would call it like casual racism, I think, for this old guy to like say, to throw something out in like this kid's movie.
Right.
And so your point was, well, like, is it right for me to like dock points, like to take away some of my rating for Mary Poppins because of this like thing that was not objectionable in its time? People probably thought it was funny, like in the 60s or whatever.
Right.
But so yeah, I guess your question was like, is it fair for me to do that? And I think there's a couple of sides to it. One side is like, what's the purpose of a rating on Letterboxd? And so what my purpose is to like capture like how I felt about the movie. Like, did I enjoy watching the movie or not?
True.
And so like in that aspect, because it slightly decreased my enjoyment just a bit, it's worth taking away a point for that or so.
That's true.
So, but again, and then the next question is like, is it right for me to like be upset by that? And I wasn't really like upset by it. I'm not like, I don't want you to think I don't want people to say, oh, I'm a special snowflake and I got my feelings hurt because somebody said something bad,
Right.
But like,
I would never accuse you of being a snowflake anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of talking. I'm approaching it from all sides. So I don't know. I mean, it's not that I was like. It's not that I got my feelings hurt or anything, but I just, I prefer for. I like to have. I like to have room to have complex opinions about things, I guess. And so
right.
I can say I love this movie, I love the music and the soundtrack and everything, but at the same time I don't like this and this about it,
Sure.
And so I guess that's where my opinion comes from.
Okay. Well, thanks for explaining it to me, and I think I understand a little better. And everyone, yeah, I think I was having a knee-jerk reaction because I was like, oh no, Anson is criticizing something that I love from my childhood that I deeply resonate with. But now that you've explained it and articulated your point, it's like I can see that my knee-jerk was, coming from something primal, like something lizard brain. And now that, we've had an opportunity to discuss it, like I can agree. Like it's definitely something you don't want to expect from a kids movie. And certainly, anyone brings up Song of the South with Disney and everyone quickly is like, oh yeah, that's definitely a movie that's loaded with, racial ambiguities and stuff like that. Which I haven't actually seen it, but I have seen it on an episode of Welcome to the Basement on YouTube, in which Craig and Matt Sloan watched the movie and then they discussed it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, even that movie, that's the basis for the Splash Mountain ride at Disneyland, where you go, zippity doo dah, zippity a. That's the movie that it comes from, is Song of the South. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
but yeah, you make fair points. And, you got me to think of some things, and certainly I'm not going to go around and call anyone a Hottentotten, and so no one else should use it either. Well, let's all agree that we're just going to be saying nice things to people, and if someone rightly is a jerk, then just call them a jerk and leave it at that.
So that's our Mary Poppins talk.
There we go.
Now we can move on to Quip.
Okay.
This is going to take 5 seconds. Quip is a toothbrush that I like.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
No, they have ads on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff. But I was at the dentist the other day, and this is like a month ago. Now that I'm saying this, but they were talking about what kind of toothbrush I use, and I used to use this. It's called a spin brush. It's just like a very basic, like kind of spinning toothbrush kind of thing.
Right.
And they recommended the Quip because. I guess I am a aggressive teeth brusher, and so they want to make sure I don't damage my gums too much. And so they said the Quip is nice because it's got a gentle vibration, and then it kind of, you don't have to like scrub yourself with it. You just kind of like let it do its job, and it's cool. It's I was very skeptical because it's like, oh, you see all these ads on Instagram for a toothbrush. How pretentious and stupid is that? I'm not going to buy a toothbrush off Instagram. But it actually is very nice, and You start it up, you push a button, and it has a timer, and so it'll give you 30 seconds for like the top right half of your mouth, and it'll pulse a little bit, and then it tells you to go. That's your cue to go to the top left, and then bottom left and bottom right, and so it gives you like 2 minutes of brushing with 30 seconds on each little quadrant, and so it's just a nice toothbrush. And the cool thing is you can like sign up for a refill plan, and it'll give you every 3 months they'll ship you replacement toothbrush heads for it. So that's a cool story, bro. Toothbrush that I like. So
yeah,
if you're looking
if you sign up for a Dollar Shave Club and then you have Quip, you can have all of your bathroom needs met as a dude. Like, I can shave my face, I can brush my teeth.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yep.
Plus some bath soap too, but so. Yeah,
well, that's interesting. Yeah, I just used I got an electric toothbrush for Christmas, and then the batteries died, and I've been lazy and haven't changed them, so I've just been using like an old-fashioned manual toothbrush to just go and brush my teeth. But
yeah, get some batteries in there. It'll pep you right back up.
Yep, rock my world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Just like some fun little random things to catch up on. What's new in your world?
I think we're in the market for a new mattress. Again, we're not sponsored by Casper or anything like that, but we've noted that I have been snoring a lot more, And even though we got new of these My Pillows for Christmas, apparently if I'm just like too wiped out or maybe something's off, then like apparently my wife is a light sleeper, and apparently I make her night unbearable because I'm just over there snoring. And so I think this weekend we're supposed to be going shopping for a new mattress, so that'll be interesting.
Oh.
And yeah, so that's definitely something major going on.
Are you going to, when you find something you like, are you going to decide right away, or are you going to sleep on it?
It's a good one. No, Mom and Dad definitely want to help out on that one. Because, they're like, sleep is important and it's a medical thing. So, yeah, we'll help you chip in for a mattress and stuff.
I remember y'all were talking about it at the brunch the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone on long enough. It's Casey's old mattress. And, if they're willing to haul it away and give us a new mattress, then I'll take it.
Are you interested in, like, Casper or Purple or anything like that?
I know they exist, but we might end up, probably we'll have to end up going to some store. And, I know we watched at least I've seen the Adam Ruins Everything video on mattresses. So, I'll be sure to go in with a grain of salt and try not to be duped into, they just named it something fancy, but it's the exact same mattress that I saw, and they just marked it up however much. But
oh, man, yeah.
Really, I just want to make
Yeah,
I just want to find something that Casey likes and that hopefully I will not snore on. Otherwise, she has to sleep on the couch, or actually, she had a little bit of like a fever or something like that. So I actually ended up sleeping on the couch a couple of nights. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I had the best sleep ever because you weren't there snoring." So.
Oh, that's nice. Well, yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I guess life is just boring otherwise. We need to desperately go grocery shopping. I've been playing Fallout 76 and we're just chilling with life. I know we need to be more social, and I'd like to have a game night or something. I did go to baptism, infant baptism.
Okay.
Our friend the Kiowskis, their baby daughter, D&D baby number 2.
Nice.
Yeah, remember, because we had D&D baby number 1, because
Yeah.
I haven't given them nicknames, and then D&D baby number 2 just got baptized. So Casey wasn't feeling well, but I got to go, and they had a little party for her afterwards, and I got to catch up with some friends I hadn't seen in a while, and I took some pictures and gave it to the parents on a Dropbox and was like, "Here you go, here's some pictures I snapped." And there was like 7 different babies that were getting baptized that afternoon, so it was pretty cool. And yeah, I had a nice little party afterwards, and so it was exciting times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yep. So do we have any, I know we covered a bunch of mini topics, but do we have any actual topics, or are we going to now pivot to our Patreon exclusive stuff now?
I don't know. I think we have a good hour. I think it's time to wrap it up and go into the secret Patreon Hi-Fi Hero hidden track.
Okay, then we will go ahead now and do the typical now ending spiel. So if you want to take it away, Mr. Hansen.
Let's spiel it on up. And while we're doing that, you be sure to check out our website, blanktape.show, for all of our episode tracks, past, present, and future. Links to all the topics we discussed tonight, or to send us an email.
Yes, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter by searching for @BlankTapeShow to stay up to date. And you can also now slowly start to find our stuff on YouTube. So if you prefer to listen to us through YouTube, over time we're going to be uploading past episodes there.
Woohoo! You can find the podcast through Overcast and Apple Podcasts, or save our RSS feed to your podcast app of your choice.
And if you would like to contribute towards the Blank Generation, consider becoming a Patreon on our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/BlankTapeShow.
Same place everywhere. You can't miss it.
Exactly. Consistency is the name of the game.
All right, Kurt. Great to talk to you. And until next time, listeners, have a good night.
All right.
And remember, Pepsi is okay.
Yes.